When it comes to parody movies, I find Scary Movie to be an unusual one, as it basically just took Scream, which was already a satire of horror film conventions, and added dirty jokes. Aside from a few additional bits here and there, mostly lowbrow humor, it was commenting on something that Scream already brought us self-awareness to. Now the Wayans Brothers have returned for the sixth Scary Movie, and the result is something that falls into the same problem as the first film. It just takes Scream 5 and does it again with cruder jokes, and throwing in some parodies of movies that were released in the past few years, some not even a year old. I was largely silent through the runtime, with only a few chortles here and there. As mentioned, this primarily takes the same story beats and even scenes from Scream 5 and recreates them. The film essentially satirizes the trend of returning to dormant franchises and bring back characters from earlier films, but the horror movie they're directly parodying already did that. It even takes away some of the surprise knowing how scenes will play out. Maybe this could be forgiven if the jokes were funny, but the Wayans go for obvious shock humor, albeit shock humor that I found surprisingly tame. Those expecting something offensive and sure to upset people won't find much of that here. It just goes for obvious jokes about drugs and a certain body part. The parodies to other horror movies beyond Scream also fall flat, not doing anything clever with them. I'm not even sure if people who've not seen these movies will get the jokes, as some of them require the full context of the scenes they parody. Some of them are especially implemented in a forced way, like two scenes that directly parody Sinners. Why are they here? Because Sinners was a popular horror movie that came out last year, and they had to crowbar in these references somewhere. We also get a few parodies of recent non-horror films, and these are similarly forced. There's a whole sequence where they parody one of last year's biggest hits, and even though the filmmakers went through the trouble of doing it in a very elaborate way, all they do is add sex and drugs to it. Admittedly, there were a few moments that got a light chuckle out of me, and they were mostly visual gags. There are a few signs with amusing writing on them, along with a funny reference to a certain political event. As for the actors, they are required to act as broadly as possible, which does fit the material. But I thought a few of the younger actors playing the teenagers really overdid it with their performances and could have dialed it down. I would forgive some of these issues if the movie made me laugh a lot more, but I thought the jokes lacked any sort of cleverness. Although if the Wayans Brothers wanted to aim for something stupid, that's fine too. The jokes they came up with just did not muster much of a chuckle for me, as they largely recreate scenes from Scream 5 and a few other horror movies, partake in obvious slapstick, and just have characters get high. There's a lot of humor that can be gained out of the types of horror films that become popular in recent years, but this movie is mostly content with taking moments from Longlegs and Get Out and adding dirtier jokes.